Within minutes of the attack on the Pentagon, the telephones in our tiny rural recruiting office had begun to ring. My Marines rushed to answer them. Marine, Staff Sergeant Black speaking. Staff Sergeant Black scribbles something on a notepad lying on his desk. Yes, ma'am. He looks at the pool board on our wall that lists all the young men and women waiting to ship to recruit training. Is he home, ma'am? I mean, can I talk to him? Black scribbles something. I understand. Thank you, ma'am. Black hung up the phone and looked at me. Staff Sergeant Black looked pale. We just lost Jeremy. His mom says he's not shipping on Monday. Roger that. I tried to mass comm in front of my Marines. Sergeant Martin hung up the phone and turned to me. He looked defeated. You ain't gonna like this, boss. What's up? My chest tightened. That was my one and only appointment for today. He just called and canceled on me. Okay. I feigned a cool exterior pose, but my inside seethed with rage. Well, let's get on the phone and find us another one. We got to make mission this month. Our mission just got harder. The phone rang again. Black answered the phone. Come on, brother. Black put his hands on his hips. His face flushed and then turned soft. Don't do this to me, Jeff. He listened silently. His head swung heavily from his large frame, and then he fixed his eyes on the wall behind me and said, You're going to be a computer programmer, Jeffrey. You're not going to be on the front lines. At last, Black hung his head and ran his fingers through his short, dark hair. Defeated, he replied, Okay, stay in touch. Black couldn't even look me in the eyes when he mumbled through his sigh, We've just lost another one. 6 young people, 4 of them we were going to send to recruit training. This month our mission will go unaccomplished. We will be letting our nation down. With Black's words hanging in the air at 9:41 on September the 11th, 2001, Jonathan Briley stands leaning against the broken window. He has lost hope. He will not be rescued today. He will never see his wife Hillary again. He leaps headfirst from the window of the North Tower. His flight to the ground below and his God above are photographed and sent around the world. He is falling, and I feel my faith falling with him. Roger. I turn slowly from Black to make the annotation on our pool board. While writing, I grind my teeth until I think they will shatter. On September the 11th, 2001, the phones continued to ring in our tiny offices and the offices of the other service. Regardless of the branch of service, these calls all ended the same way. I want out of my contract. Dejected, the Army, Navy, and Air Force closed their offices early on September the 11th and headed home to find comfort with their families. Only the Marines in Cookville remained at work, determined to try and pull their applicant pool back together, if only by shaming them into honoring their oaths to support and defend. Occasionally, however, we received a call from an old veteran who wanted to know if he was too old to re-up. They always were. The current generation of disinterested, self-centered, fear-ridden Americans, the millennials, have finally revealed themselves. Then I see Roy. Roy is the older gentleman. He bursts into our recruiting office with a big grin on his face. He's moving out a low crotch and his eyes are wild with excitement. His cap is quixotically cocked back on his head and he seems younger today. Where are they, Sarge? Where's who? I reply coldly. The boy's coming in to sign up. Roy looks around the office. His old blue eyes searches for something that was absent that dark September day. Honor. Roy, I could tell this was going to hurt him. I told you this is not the same America you grew up in. What? Roy's smile falls away and his jaw hangs slack. His hair whitens. Roy, all of our appointments have called in and canceled for today and tomorrow. Most of the kids we have waiting to ship have called. Most of them are backing out of their commitments. It seems their oaths were only words. They don't want to go to war. I am angry, and I want my words to hurt Roy. I am ashamed, but I want him to see what I have seen for years, and that is that ours is not a nation, but a collection of personalities, a raging current of juvenile cowardice cleverly wrapped in a cult of celebrity. Roy stumbles to the couch in our office and collapses. He is falling with me. Roy and I hold hands with Jonathan Briley and join him on his descent. Roy wipes the sweat from his hands and then digs in the pockets of his overalls. He pulls out a handkerchief, wipes his nose, and begins to speak in soft, even tones. My Marines and I gather about it. It was Sunday. He glances up at me. December 7th was. He looks away again. Anyway, We had just returned from church and Daddy was listening to the radio. My brother and me were bringing in firewood and Mama was putting supper on. Roy looks at his hands, wipes his eyes with his handkerchief and says, "My daddy drove us down to the square here in Cookville. The recruiters used to be up over there by the courthouse. Where we're sitting now is just farmland. For as far as you could see, there was cars lined up that night. Men of all ages waiting to get in to see them recruiters on Monday morning. It took us a day or two of sleeping on the couches as strangers to finally be seen by them recruiters up there. Hell, the police worked round the clock to help herd the boys in that wanted to enlist." Roy motions in the air with his hands, clears his throat, and adds, "They had the roads blocked off for at least a mile in every direction. Pretty ladies would come out and give us slices of warm cornbread and fried chicken. It sure was something to see." He wipes at the corners of his mouth and says, "They took me and my brother, said my dad was too old for service. He died before me and my brother got back from the Pacific. I never saw him again." Roy looks up at me. His eyes lock on mine. "You say nobody has come by today?" "No, Roy. No one has come by today. And no one will come by today. Your country doesn't exist anymore." As soon as I say the words, "I'm sorry that I've hurt Roy. I did not want it to end this way." Well, what other way can there be for dreams to end? Roy shakes his head and stands. He steadies himself against the desk and pulls on his cap and walks slowly out of my office. Roy leaves our office carrying my dreams with him. Our fall to earth is over. The Twin Towers and our once mighty nation are now only a memory. I imagine being alone on the African plain. Just off the old rutted road, I find the discarded skulls of two once mighty impala rams. The old sovereigns are abandoned, forgotten, and alone. I step over the two old angry skulls in the desert. I heed their warning. I have lost faith in struggles. I join hands with a child walking just off the trail. We smile warmly at each other. We are unconcerned about the passions of old angry rams. We are not angry. We are not happy. We are indifferent. And together we continue the journey. Thank you.